support in this race. My concern is making sure that when all is said and done, particularly if one outcome is the case, that black people, particularly all these new young folk, like Darren and those who in fact can vote, I love black people so much, I know we all do, we never want to see them get crushed. And I'm starting to try to figure out how, when this thing is all said and done, we keep people who've been turned on to this process for the first time from being crushed, and moreover being turned off to the system of engaging themselves in the body politic because it didn't turn out the way that they wanted it to. I want to have the conversation right now of what we're going to do when we get to that point, because somebody is going to, and somebody is going to, Congresswoman, talk to me.
And Tavis, in the euphoria of the moment, I wonder if the black agenda itself could get lost. You know, if this were one of those mega churches that you see on television, y'all would have had to bring your covenant with you. That's their Bible. And they would say, turn to. And the real question is, in the euphoria of the moment, will we be so out of our minds with joy that we forget that the agenda isn't any different whether George Bush is the president or Barack Obama is the president? If anything, he raises our expectations. The reason that you elect people who are African Americans and we call ourselves a Congressional Black Caucus is not because of the color of our skin, it's because our experience is supposed to lead us toward issues that you have been about for a very long time. And so we have a very explicit agenda. Now, the agenda does not change, and if I may say so.
I think you just did.
If I may say so.
Yeah.
One agenda that must change this year is the agenda that says that there are 600,000 Americans, more than half of whom are African Americans who live in your nation's capital, who do not have full voting rights on the floor of the Congress of the United States. But we got to get that done this year. Only in America could you have 57% of the Senate. We have gotten it through the House, and it takes 60% to get democracy in the nation's capital. Well, you see, when I talk to Barack, I don't even talk to him about that. He's a co-sponsor of that. We got to talk to him about the hard things. You got to look through the covenant and say, what is hard that he hasn't done? You've got to do what Mayor Nagin said. We got to start this way. Not what you're going to do for me, Barack. Is this what I'm going to do? Now what you going to do? Goes both ways. The Reverend talked about accountability on our side. He called out some names here on our side. Well, you know, the covenant has things for us too. So we got to have our talks with Barack. And it's not, brother, I'm so glad you were there. I got this agenda. In fact, I got my covenant here. I'm going to hold you real accountable, because I ain't accountable for nothing. It's all up to you, brother, not me. Well, you know what? If anything is a two-way street in a country where 70% of the children are born to single women, our agenda is a two-way street. So we're gonna make sure that Barack, if he is successful, knows that we hold him specially accountable. We're going to hold him as accountable as we have George Bush, who has done nothing that we asked him to do. And we're going to say to Barack, it's not good enough to do a little more than George. We're going to do a whole lot more ourselves, and you got to do way more than Bush did.
Angela Blackwell, let me come to you right quick. We talked earlier, for those who may have just tuned in, about this third and final book in the Covenant Trilogy coming out a year from now. Literally weeks after the president, whoever that is, takes office, we will have this text for the first time in history that lays out what they did or did not say, what he or she did or did not say on the campaign trail about the issues that matter to us, with ideas in the book, with suggestions in the book, with our agenda in the book, with stories of everyday people, where these issues of health and criminal justice and economics, where these issues are concerned, everyday stories of everyday people, to give you illustrative examples of what we are dealing with inside of Black America and how, if these policies are enacted, engaged, changed, redressed, we can advance Black America over the next 4 years under the president, if he or she has the courage to wrestle with what we've laid out in this book, accountable vis-a-vis what they said or didn't say on the campaign trail. As a practical matter, when we get to that place next year, weeks after the inauguration, and this book comes out, help me see a little farther down the road as to how we then take that document and the issues raised therein, again, up against what they said or didn't say on the campaign trail, and make this covenant agenda real. How does that happen a year down the road?
I don't want to just hold them to what they said on the campaign trail, because